What is up, guys? It's your boy Milad coming to you on another day with another movie review. I know it's been a minute since I've made my last movie review. It's been a good couple of months, but the boy's back. He was occupied with another job that he was working on, and that's completed, so now I'm back to making movie reviews. I haven't really watched too many movies lately, but this morning I was like, you know what? I need to get back on this movie grind and I need to watch another movie. So what I did today was I went and watched the movie Harriet. Now that movie's about Harriet Tubman, someone who we've practically all learned about in a history class in elementary school, middle school, or high school. And it's a big figure from back in that time. And you guys all probably know about her. If you don't, probably do a quick Google search and you'll probably find out about her. Now, the thing about reviewing movies of this nature is you can't really review the storyline because it's kind of based on a true story. And the thing you have to actually review on it is its execution and how it went about portraying that story. Now, I'm gonna come right off the bat and say that the execution of this movie was phenomenal. At first, I was a little bit, slow with it. I was like, okay, this kind of feels like a History Channel vibe to it. Like it's just a documentary, kind of just a reenactment or whatever it may be. And then it started to pick up a lot more, and we started to really see into the life of Harriet Tubman and her mindset and like who she was as a person. And that's when I really got stuck into the movie. At first I was kind of yawning a little bit because the movie I felt was going a little bit slowly, the way they were executing and the way they were putting it out. But then they actually, they started emphasizing her role, emphasizing her personality. And like it made me realize that at the beginning they were just developing her in our minds, because we already all knew about Harriet Tubman going into the movie, but the movie just kind of like emphasized a little bit more on her role, who she is, her mindset, and all of that stuff. Overall, I give this movie a 9 out of 10 in terms of like being able to execute that storyline. And it's crazy to think, like, we've become so numb to the concept of slavery and hearing about it and seeing it in our history books that, like, when you sit down and think about it, when you sit down and look at it, you're like, this was actually something that happened. Like, hearing about it, reading about it and stuff about like that, it's hard not to think like there's no way that was something that was going on back then. There's no way. But it did happen. And it's just so heartbreaking to see, and heartbreaking to see in a reenactment. And your heart begins to ache for the people of that time. It begins to ache for the people who were oppressed, the people who were hit with the wrong end of the stick because of something as simple as the color of their skin, which is completely unfair. And I go completely on a tangent there, so I digress. But nonetheless, this is a review about the movie, less about the politics. And I love the movie. It was a great movie. The actress who played Harriet Tubman, I don't know her name, but she did a phenomenal job. She was acting out her role perfectly. And the one little gripe I have on this movie is I don't know the history of Harriet Tubman, so this might have been something like that was in her history and stuff like that. But they kind of made it seem like a little bit supernatural. Like there were moments where it was like God is guiding her, and it just like in a sense you understand that because like someone says like, oh, God helped me get here. Like you understand what they mean, you get it. But in the movie they kind of made it seem like she had like flashes and like images pop up in her head sent down by God, and that's what helped her guide her. And it wasn't really like from her own intuition and stuff like that. And I don't know her history, so I can't really speak too much about that, but that's what I found was a little interesting and a little different than what I was really expecting. But that was that. And then the number one thing I learned from this movie, I felt like I learned a lot about Harriet Tubman and her history, but the number one thing I learned about this movie was the willpower of a human being. Like the fact that she was able to accomplish what she did, phenomenal. Hats off to her. Literally changed humanity. Literally was a huge step in time. huge forward progress in that time frame. And literally the fact that she was able to live to her 90s, considering what she did, the risks she took, the amount of times she took those risks. Usually you're like, you take a risk one time, you get lucky. You take a risk another time, you get lucky. You end up thinking, okay, my luck's about to run out. For her, it did not. And that's why I think she believed she was on God's plan. Like, it was part of her destiny to do what she did. And I think just her human willpower and her desire to do good is what carried her to become who she was and made her so successful at what she was doing. And that's what I learned, is like, the mind is so powerful. Things that we deem to be impossible are actually possible. And like, Harriet Tubman is like the embodiment of that. She did something that people would say is absolutely insane, absolutely impossible, and she made it happen. Overall, that's my review of the movie. I love the movie. I really enjoyed it, and I think everyone should go watch it because you will get something out of it. But nonetheless, let's end the video here. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys had a wonderful day, and I wish you all the best of success, and peace.